Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Today I am going to present the title Biodiversity Conservation in Situ and Ex Situ Conservation. Before presentation, little introduction about myself. I am Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. I have done M.Sc Agriculture with a specialization in Agronomy from Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar in 1996 and presently working as a seed professional in one of the M.Sc associated with seeds and pesticide industries. So let's move to the presentation. Conservation of biodiversity. The very existence of human being is threatened due to continuous loss of biodiversity. Tropical rainforests have been the focal point of the debates on biodiversity conservation. In fact, the rainforest covers only 7% of the Earth's geographical area but supports more than half of the world's identified species. Of these, 15 rainforests have been identified as hotspots. Tropical deforestation will be single greatest cause of species extinction in the next century. Strategies of conservation. Future strategy for conservation has 4 goals. First, maintenance of adequate resources. Second, conservation of resources through reduction in demand and achievement of greater end use. Third, maximum use of renewable resources. And fourth, reduction in dependency on non-renewable resources. Conservation of biodiversity has 2 aspects. First one is in situ strategy and second ex situ strategy. What is in situ strategy? It can be defined as the conservation of plants and animals in their native ecosystem, natural habitats or even man-made ecosystem where they naturally occur. This strategy emphasizes on the conservation work at original site of biodiversity as wild. Conservation of overall diversity of genes, population, species, communities, and the ecological processes come under this strategy. This type of conservation is applicable to wild flora and fauna as conservation is achieved through protection of populations in their natural ecosystems. The concept of protected area falls under this category like national parks, sanctuaries, and biosphere reserves. There are 37,000 protected areas in the world as per World Conservation Monitoring Center. India has 17 Biosphere Reserves and 19 Ramsar wetlands. Amongst the protected areas, India has 102 national parks and 490 sanctuaries covering an area of nearly 1.5 lakh square kilometers. Ex situ strategy. It can be defined as the conservation of plants and animals away from their natural habitats, which includes collection of samples of genetic diversity and their treatment in the laboratory where they are cultured. This strategy says that conservation work should be done outside the natural habitat in form of botanical and zoological gardens, conservation stand, seed and seedling banks, pollen banks, germplasm banks, tissue culture banks, gene and DNA banks, etc. In India, conservation of genetic diversity of cultivated plants and their wild relatives is done by NBPGR, National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. In case of animals, it is done by National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources, NBAGR. The concept of gene banks has primarily become the talk for ex situ conservation as it is important for conservation of agricultural crops and forestry-based afforestation programs. Genetic resource centers fall under this category and include botanical gardens and zoo, etc. Institutions for ex situ conservation of biodiversity. First one is National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, NBPGR, and second, National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources, NBAGR. Protected areas of India for in situ conservation of biodiversity. There are 3 types of protected areas. First one is wildlife sanctuaries, second is national parks, and third biosphere reserves, which were created in India for in situ conservation of biodiversity. Now we will study about distribution between national parks, sanctuary, and biosphere reserves. First one, in case of national park associated to the habitat of wild animal species like rhinoceros, tiger, and lion, etc. While in case of sanctuary, these are species oriented as pitcher plants, great Indian bustards, and biosphere reserves takes into consideration the entire ecosystem. Second, In case of national park, the size ranges is 0.04 to 3162 square kilometer, while in case of sanctuaries, size ranges is 0.6 to 7818 square kilometer, while in case of biosphere reserves, the size range over 5670 square kilometers. Third, in case of national park, the boundaries marked by legislation, while in case of sanctuary, boundaries not sacrosanct, and in case of biosphere reserves, boundaries marked by legislation. And fourth, in national parks, disturbance only limited to buffer zone, while in case of sanctuary, there is limited disturbances, and in biosphere, disturbance only limited to buffer zone. After that, in case of national parks, the tourism is allowed. In sanctuary, tourism allowed, while in case of biosphere reserves, tourism is generally not allowed. Now, sixth, in case of national parks, scientific management is lacking, while in case of sanctuary, scientific management is also lacking here, while in biosphere reserves, there is scientifically managed. And seventh, in national parks, no attention is paid to gene pool conservation, and in sanctuary also, no attention is paid to gene pool conservation, while in case of biosphere reserves, attention is paid to gene pool conservation. Reduction of anthropogenic pressure, increasing population and its demands pose remarkable threat to taxa importance to human being. About 70% of identified medicinal plants of Indian Himalayas are exposed to destructive harvesting. Cultivation of such plants elsewhere would contribute to their conservation. After that, restoration of endangered species. It is a tough and difficult strategy. It requires a specific knowledge about a species and its surroundings. This strategy includes diagnosis of factors responsible for the decline of a species, habitat conservation, captive breeding, and restriction of harvesting, etc. This strategy includes reintroduction programs in the original site of living, augmentation programs to increase the existing population size and genetic diversity of a species, and third, introduction programs for a new area. This presentation shows the wildlife reserves in different states located. Here we have covered almost states and the places where the wildlife reserves are present. Biosphere Reserves. Biosphere Reserves program was launched by UNESCO in 1971 under its MAB program, Man and Biosphere program. Biospheres are sites where protection is granted not only to the flora and fauna of the protected region but also to the human communities who inhabit these regions and their ways of life. Biosphere reserves are sites established by countries and recognized under UNESCO Man and the Biosphere program to promote sustainable development based on local community efforts and sound science. Currently, there are 580 sites across 114 countries. The Indian government has established 17 biosphere reserves of India. 7 of the 17 biosphere reserves is a part of World Network of Biosphere Reserves based on the UNESCO MAB program. Biosphere reserves have been described as undisturbed natural areas for scientific study, as well as areas in which conditions of disturbance are under control. These serve as the centers for ecological research and habitat protection. The biosphere consists of two main zones, as buffer zone first and buffer zone second. The main objectives of the program are as follows. First, conserve biological diversity. Second, safeguard genetic diversity. Third, provide areas for basic and applied research. Fourth, opportunity for environmental science and training. Fifth, promote international cooperation. And sixth, promote management of biotic resources. Now we will study about Biosphere Reserves of India. There are different biosphere reserves located in different states. Like first one, Great Range of Kutch is located in Gujarat. After that, Nokrek is in Meghalaya. After that, Manas is in Assam. Gulf of Mannar in Tamil Nadu. After this, Sundarban located in West Bengal. Nanda Devi in Uttarakhand. Nilgiri in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka states. After that, Dehang and Devang in Assam states. Panchmani in Madhya Pradesh. Amarkantak in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh states. After that, Kanchenjunga in Sikkim. After this, Agast Malai Biosphere Reserves, which is located in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Then Great Nicobar Biosphere Reserves in Andaman and Nicobar. Then Dibru Sakhova in Assam. That cold desert in Himachal Pradesh, and Sesachalam Hills in Andhra Pradesh, and Simplipal in Odisha. So these are the biosphere reserves located in different states of India. Now we will study about important national parks and wildlife sanctuaries in India. In Andhra Pradesh state there is Pakhal, Pavaharam, Kaval, Koleru and Pelicanary wildlife sanctuaries. In Arunachal Pradesh there is Namidefa wildlife sanctuary. In Assam, Kaziranga National Park and Manas Wildlife Sanctuaries. In Bihar, Hazaribagh National Park. In Gujarat, Gir National Park. In Karnataka, Bandipur National Park and Silent Valley National Park. In Kerala, Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary and Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary. After that, in Odisha, there is Chilka Lake Bird Sanctuary. In Tamil Nadu, Madumalai Wildlife Sanctuary and Badanthangal Bird Sanctuary. In Uttar Pradesh, there is Jim Corbett National Park. In West Bengal, Jaldapara Wildlife Sanctuary. Now to study endemic species. Endemic species are the plants which are limited in their distribution, like they are restricted to a small area and are not found elsewhere in the world. Endemism of Indian biodiversity is significant. About 4,900 species of flowering plants and 33% of the recorded flora are endemic to the country. These are distributed over 141 genera belonging to 47 families. These are concentrated in the floristically rich areas of northeast India, the Western Ghats, northwest Himalayas, and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Western Ghats and the Himalayas have 2 of the 18 hotspots identified in the world. It is estimated that 62% of the non-amphibian species are endemic to India, of which a majority occurs in Western Ghats. Endemism may be occur due to poor adaptability of a species in a wide range of ecology, presence of some geographical barrier, failure of dispersal of reproductive organs, and the species might have comparatively been young and not have been time to spread it. Now to study a special project regarding biodiversity conservation. First one is Project Tiger. A fast decline of the tiger population leads to the setup of a special task force in 1970 by the Indian Board for Wildlife to prepare an action plan to conserve the tiger population in India. As a result, Project Tiger was launched on 1st April 1973 with the below objectives. First, to maintain a viable population of tigers for scientific, cultural and ecological values. To preserve areas rich in biodiversity as a national heritage for the education and enjoyment. In 1973-74, 9 tiger reserves were established to promote elimination of all forms of human exploitation and disturbance from the core zones. Second project is Gir Lion Project. The Asiatic lion is now confined to the Gir forest of Gujarat. The sanctuary harbored nearly 200 of them. The great reduction in the number was due to the increased threat from overgrazing, depletion of prey species, etc. The Asiatic lions was in danger of being wiped out either due to starvation, epidemics or human interference. In 1972, the state government prepared a scheme for the management of the Gir Lion Sanctuary with proper guidelines for conservation. The center provided assistance for the protection and improvement of the habitat. Now third is Project Elephant. The Project Elephant was launched with the view to protect and conserve the elephant population of the country. Project Elephant aimed at restoring degraded habitats of elephants, creation of migration corridors, elimination of human interference, and establishment of a database on the migration and population dynamics of elephants. Like elephant habitat restoration work was done in Rajaji National Park. Himalayan Musk Deer Project. The musk deer, which was once found throughout the Himalayan tract, has terribly suffered due to its musk being used in the preparation of perfumes and medicine. Secondly, the habitat destruction brought about a sharp decline in their population. A conservation project was therefore launched at the Kedarnath Sanctuary in UP. Then Crocodile Breeding Project. The 3 varieties of crocodile population like Ghadial, the Magar and the saltwater crocodile witnessed a sharp decline by the early 1970s. With the assistance of the UNDP, the Government of India launched a crocodile breeding and management project. The project was initially launched in Odisha in the year 1975. The project scheme was subsequently extended to UP, Rajasthan, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andaman, Assam, Bihar and Nagaland. As a result of the population of all the three species has considerably increased. Here to study policies for biodiversity conservation. Some of the policies which can be taken into account for biodiversity conservation are: first, identifying and monitoring the important components of biological diversity that needs to be conserved and used sustainably. Second, establishing protected areas to conserve biological diversity while promoting environmentally sound development around these areas. Third, respecting, preserving, and maintaining traditional knowledge of the sustainable use of biological diversity with the involvement of indigenous people and local communities. Fourth, educating people and raising awareness about the importance of biological diversity and the need to conserve it. Fifth, promoting public participation, particularly when it comes to assessing the environmental impacts of development projects that threaten biological diversity and protecting the biodiversity hotspots from alien species. Biodiversity conservation is an important step towards a successful disaster management, and if policies are implemented to protect it, then we can get one step closer in making a disaster-free world. So this presentation was all about in situ and ex situ biodiversity conservation. Hope this presentation will be helpful to all of you. Now my presentation ends here. Thank you very much. I have given here my YouTube channel details, Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Having request, please visit the channel, subscribe it and provide your kind and valuable feedback for further improvements. Thank you.